Hey to everyone out there watching, it's JT from Keystone Crew Outdoors. Welcome back to Keystone Crew's Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Pick Show. As always, thank you for tuning in and your continued support of the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd appreciate it if you did. It's the best way to never miss an event or our picks. I'd love it if you guys like the videos, especially if you like the content or use the advice that we give here on our channel. Keep the comments coming. I love the feedback, and I try my best to get back to all of you guys who take the time out for me. I think it's only right that I take the time out for you. A real quick shout out here. I got my NEPA, my Northeastern Pennsylvania hat on from Matt Fitzsimmons at Silver Peak Designs. Awesome friend of mine. He's making lots of NEPA inspired styles. I'll link his Instagram here if you guys are interested in checking him out and maybe getting a hat or a shirt or something like that. Since it's the first event of the season, if you're new to the channel, as I said earlier, please subscribe because it helps us grow. But chances are, if you're new to the channel, you're probably also new to Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing as well. If you're signed up, that's great. But if you haven't signed up yet and want to check it out, sign up at bassmasterfantasy.com. It's completely free, and you'll be eligible for prizes from Bassmaster and their sponsors for each tournament. After signing up, search the Groups tab for Keystone Crew and join our group. And remember, you can watch these tournaments every Saturday and Sunday on Fox Sports 1. First event of the season, so here's a quick rundown of how these shows run if you're new to the channel. I'll be giving you a recap of how our picks did in the last event for the Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing and Falcon Rod's Bassmaster Drain the Lake Challenge. We'll also take a look at our leaderboards for each event and the overall leaderboards for both games. I'll also be giving you the Keystone Crew picks for the event for both of these games. These picks are based on articles that I read, videos that I watch, and different things I see from the Bassmaster pundits. I power rank the anglers and give you my top 5 from each bucket to pick from. The last few years I was giving you guys my gut picks too, but this year I think I'm just going to go with the research, since a lot of times they're ranked in my top 5 guys anyway that you should consider. So we'll also look at a tie-breaking weight for these games. That's the tiebreaker for all now 3 of our games. I'll get into that later. I'm a teacher, so I also give a little information about each fishery, a little bit of a history lesson that the tour stops at. But I've been looking into some of these stops this year, and there's not a lot of info to go on some of them, so you'll have to bear with me there. And last but not least, this season, our group is awarding prizes for Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing and Falcon Rod's Bassmaster Drain the Lake Challenge. You guys have been asking for it, so I figured I've got to deliver here. Remember, though, I'm in no way, shape, or form sponsored. I'm very small time, so I use my own finances to fund this. That being said, if you're a fishing company seeing this and would like me to review your lures and baits and use them for prizes, reach out. I'd love to do that. That was my shameless plug there. Anyway, for each event, I'll be awarding the leader for both Fantasy Fishing and Drain the Lake Challenge a lure. Also, at the end of the season, the overall winner for both Fantasy Fishing and Drain the Lake Challenge will win a package including one of each of the lures won throughout the season. You need to bear with me, though, because I'm not sure on the logistics since it's the first year I'm doing prizes. Getting them out to everybody might take some time. And I also think I should put a password on the group so it's fair for everybody. I was thinking maybe after the Classic, I believe that's the 3rd event, on locking the group with the password. I don't want any of our original members to be locked out in case they don't see my season startup videos. I'd appreciate it if you guys did watch, though, to help out the channel since we're still in the baby stages. If you do watch, please continue to watch and be alert for future videos for the password in case you didn't get to sign up. The prizes are some of my personal favorites from Spro, X-Zone, Rapala, Strike King, and Berkeley. And as soon as the ice and snow thaws, you can see from this little video clip here what it currently looks like in NEPA right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We had a little ice fishing party the other day. I hope to make videos reviewing some of these prizes when all that's gone away. Once again, though, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. They're just lures or brands that I like to use. I have my beautiful wife, Katie, who you may recognize from some of these St. Lawrence River videos, pick our prizes for the first stop. So let's see what you guys will be playing for. All right, we got our unofficial sponsor here, Miles Appliance, my college roommate. He's not really sponsoring it, but I figured I'd give him a shout out anyway. I have Katie here. She's going to pick out the prize for our first event at the St. Johns River. We're going to shake them up real good. Don't get hooked. What do we got? Looks like you guys are playing for, hold on to that for a second, some Strike King Hybrid Hunters. Here's a closer look at our prizes we got. We got a couple Hybrid Hunters here. This is what you guys are playing for. All right, now that all that housekeeping stuff is out of the way, the reason you're all tuning in, the first event for the 2025 Bassmaster Elite season from February 20th through the 23rd from Palatka, Florida, the St. Johns River. The first stop of the Elite season takes us to the St. Johns River. It's the longest river in Florida and is the most significant one for commercial and recreational use. It's 310 miles long and flows north through 12 counties. Numerous lakes are formed by the river, but the widest point of the river is 3 miles across. The narrowest point is in the headwaters, an unnavigable marsh in Indian River County. It's usually a fan favorite because of the many diverse options for fishing here. If the river isn't playing to the angler's strength, Crescent Lake is an option with its cypress treed shorelines and tons of vegetation. On the way to the lake, there's many canals that provide habitat for spawning, feeding, and staging fish. At the end of Salt Springs Run, there's mineral springs that bubble up into the floor of the river and provide habitat for spawning fish as well. Its clear water provides the anglers with some great sight fishing opportunities there. The last three elite events that were held in 2021, with Brian New winning with 79 pounds 7 ounces, 2022 with John Cruz winning with 75 pounds 4 ounces, and 2024 with Cory Johnston winning with 93 pounds 6 ounces. I think he won it by like 20 pounds, guys. So I don't know how it's going to play. We'll get into that in a little bit, though. Now that the history lesson is over, let's jump into these picks. Here's my research-based picks. Once again, I power rank the picks from Bass Pundits, different articles I read, and videos that I watch. Here are my power rankings, but buyer beware. I'm historically bad at picking Florida. That being said, after 2 terrible Florida events last year, we finished in 159th place overall out of everybody playing the game, roughly like 32,000 people, if my math's right. So I would use the picks, but, you know, beware. Florida's tough. And here it goes. In Bucket A, we've got Cory Johnston, currently held by 21.2% of the field. Chris Johnston with 11.5% owned. Brandon Lester, 3.0% owned. Patrick Walters, 14.6% owned. And Easton Fothergill with 3.8% owned. The research pick that I'm going with, though, is Cory Johnston. I'm going to be going with our top-ranked guy in each bucket. It was toss-up between Cory and Chris. In Bucket B, our top-ranked angler, we have John Cox with 38.5% owned. Drew Benton, 24.1% owned. Drew Cook, 8.0% owned. Stetson Blaylock, 3.8% owned. And Wes Logan, 0.7% owned. My pick, though, is John Cox with that 38.5% owned. On to Bucket C, we've got Greg Hackney with 31.7% owned. Bob Downey, 4.9% owned. Brandon Palaniuk, 15.9% owned. Kyle Welcher, 15.3% owned. And Brian Schmidt, 2.8% owned. My pick, though, is Greg Hackney with that 31.7% owned. In bucket D, we've got Mark Menendez, 9.5% owned. Jason Christie, 30.3% owned. Emil Wagner, 6.7% owned. Andrew Loberg, 1.4% owned. And Brandon Cobb with 18.2% owned. Our pick, though, is Mark Menendez with that 9.5% owned. And our last bucket, bucket E, we got Dakota Ebare with 24.5% owned, followed by Bo Browning, 3.2% owned, John Cruz, 17.6% owned, Scott Martin, 29.8%, and finally Joey Cifuentes with 2.5% owned. Our pick, though, is Dakota Ebare with 24.5% owned. For our tie-breaking weight, as I said earlier, I'm not really sure how this is going to play, so I'm going to play it safe, I think. I hope I'm not too high on it. We could certainly be low. I'm going with 83 pounds, 14 ounces. So our overall picks here, if you wanted a little recap, we've got Cory Johnston in bucket A, John Cox in bucket B, Greg Hackney in bucket C, Mark Menendez in bucket D, and Dakota Ebare in bucket E. On the Falcon Rods Drain the Lake Challenge, it's our other main fantasy game. Drain the Lake's an elimination or survivor style game where you can only use an angler once all season. Once you've used them, they're gone for the season. So you use 80 out of the 104, including with the classic. So you better pick wisely. We've got Drew Benton, Stetson Blaylock, John Cox, John Cruz, Cory Johnston, Logan Latuso, Mark Menendez, and Brad Watley. Now, I said earlier we have another game. Last second, Bassmaster dropped T.H. Marine Bassmaster Pick'em Challenge. There's no prizes for this one for our group or anything because it's brand new. I don't know if it's even going to be a leaderboard type game or if it's just like a for fun one. But anyway, this year, the new fantasy game, they dropped on us last minute. They kind of do matchups. So it's matchup one is reigning Angler of the Year versus reigning Rookie of the Year. So we got Chris Johnston versus Trey McKinney. I'm going with Chris Johnston on that one. Our second matchup is the Florida Showdown. John Cox versus Drew Benton. I'm going with Drew Benton there. Because this is just for fun. Battle of the Beards is matchup 3. We got Jacob Fouts versus Robert G. I'm going with Jacob Fouts. Matchup 4 is International Showdown. We got Taco Ito versus Carl Joachimsen. This is a tough one for me because I like both anglers, but I always go with Taco when in doubt. Battle 5, we got Battle of the Roommates. Patrick Walters versus Justin Hamner. Another tough one, but I'm going to go with Hamner here. Matchup 6, former St. John's champs. We've got Cory Johnston versus John Cruz. I'm going with Cory Johnston because of his consistency. He's always showing out there. And the final matchup, matchup 7, is Battle of the Tylers. We got Tyler Rivette versus Tyler Williams. I'm going with Rivette here. That'll wrap it up for our fantasy games for the first stop of the 2025 season at the St. Johns River. Good luck to all of you guys out there. Hopefully this year Florida treats us better than last year. Remember, you guys are going to be playing for these Strike King Hybrid Hunters. I hope you can see them there. I'll leave you with the Angler's career stats from before the start of this 2025 season. And as always, I'll catch you next time.